What is going on, my peeps? Welcome back to another YouTube video. So excuse this, but it's absolutely roasting in the UK at the moment, so I have to keep the windows open. But what I want to talk about today is something that's been on my mind quite a lot recently, and that's basically just kind of the pressure as video professionals that we feel in terms of kind of buying new kit and constantly upgrading, and there constantly being this flow of kind of new equipment and new stuff that's coming through the market. Now, I've been doing this for nearly 10 years. I basically started on a Canon 5D, upgraded through the GH4, Blackmagic systems, now we use Sony systems. I've kind of used a lot of gear. I've been involved in this cycle of kind of constantly looking at new products and constantly wanting to upgrade the gear and essentially feeling like my kit and my gear is not good enough because of all this marketing that's happening on YouTube nowadays, and all of that sort of stuff, right? What I've realized is that you only really need to buy new gear when you notice an inefficiency with the current gear that you have. This really kind of specifically applies to a business context, or I can really only talk about it from a business context because that's where I've chosen to kind of apply my skills within video, is to a business. From a business perspective, I didn't go down an arts route, but essentially what you want to do is you want to make the equipment that you have be as efficient as possible towards the success metric, which is a successful shoot or the client's getting the results that they're looking for from the work that you're doing, right? You don't need to constantly be looking at the latest kit and the latest gear and the latest technology if the kit and the gear that you currently have and you currently work with actually contributes towards the success of the projects that you're shooting for your client. A great example of this is with the Sony kit that we currently use. So for the majority of our shoots within 2025, we have used a Sony FX6, a Sony FX30, and a Sony a7 IV. Three fantastic cameras, and don't get me wrong, like they are incredible cameras, but they are old now. They are nearly 4 or 5 years old, something like that. There's a couple of things kind of within that equipment that I would like to change, but it's not quite enough to upgrade, and there's not really another piece of kit within the Sony system that kind of fills those gaps at the moment. But I've noticed all this talk from Lumix, I've noticed all this talk from Canon. There's some fantastic new cameras out there like the C400, the C80, the S1H, the S1H, S1R Mark II, S1 Mark II. Like there's a lot of different options. There is a ton of wireless microphone systems and gimbals and everything like that, right? And the point being is that for my clients and the work that I do, which is primarily event stuff, the FX6, the A7 IV, the FX30 work perfectly for the average type of video that we're producing and the average deliverable that we're kind of working towards. So what I would say is that even though you do feel a ton of pressure to buy new kit, even though you do feel a ton of pressure to constantly be upgrading your equipment and feel like you're, getting much better as an industry professional because you know how to use all this kit and stuff like that, really what it comes down to is, does the kit that you currently own and currently use service the work that you are doing most of the time? Another thing that I want to mention is the amount of rental that we've done this year compared to any other year. Now, we've been international, so that does change things slightly because you just can't take all the kit. Well, you can, but it's just costs an absolute fortune, definitely more than renting. But we've chosen to rent a lot of the kit that we've needed this year, whether it be kind of spare camera bodies or spare lenses and that sort of stuff. And yes, I could have taken the profit in the business and invested into those things, but for the amount and the frequency that we're renting those things, it just doesn't make sense from a cost perspective. I'd rather cost it out per job for a rental than cost it out for the company in terms of buying a piece of equipment. Now, hopefully that makes sense, but essentially, like, it's profit per job versus total profit, right? It's net versus gross profit, essentially. That's what I'm talking about. But yeah, that's really what I wanted to kind of come on here and talk about, is that if you are getting started in your career, if you are new to the journey, it can seem very overwhelming, the amount of kit that is required, or, feels like is required. I mean, it's even like tripods now, man. Like there's even like, branded potato jet tripods and all this sort of stuff. Like, realistically, do you need all of that? Like, if you do need it and you notice an inefficiency in your kit, then by all means upgrade it, right? But if it's servicing, for the most part, if it's servicing the work that you're currently doing, then you just don't need it. Like I would so much rather you invest in other areas of the business, like paid ads or mentorship or courses or anything that's basically going to bring new clients into the business, because that's a much higher lever than just getting a new camera, right? A new camera doesn't bring you any clients. It might make the clients that you've got happier because their footage, they won't even know their footage looks better. You only think the footage looks better. But anyway, that's another video, right? But yeah, just invest the areas. If you've got spare money and you want to invest, just invest it in areas that are going to be higher leverage, right? Which is basically client acquisition, sales, marketing, all of that sort of stuff, essentially, right? And that's pretty much it. Like, I mean, a real tangible example that's kind of running around in my head as I record this video is with our lighting kit. So we've brought 600Ds to set, we've brought 300Ds to set, but what we use now is an Amaran 300C, which is like a £600 light, and an Amaran 100D, which is like a £250 light. And again, with the softboxes, we used to bring a 120 centimeter softbox. Now we bring a 55 centimeter softbox because it's about efficiency, right? It's like, okay, I don't get as nice a wrap on the side of somebody's nose when I'm doing an interview, but is that as important as being able to chuck a 55 centimeter softbox in a lighting bag and just carry one thing in and make the loading process way more efficient and the setup process way more efficient, right? Like, it's all of these questions that you've kind of got to think about when you apply the skill of video to then business, and ultimately, like, we do events, right? So we need to be nimble and agile and quick. And like, we've replaced all of our C stands with small rig stands because it's just not efficient to be bringing in bulky, heavy, cumbersome C stands, right? Yes, okay, they're a bit more stable, but what will you make up for in stability? You're losing in kind of weight and time and efficiency and all of that sort of stuff as well. So that pretty much kind of wraps up all my thoughts on this. It was really, it's not really a rant. It's more of just kind of something that I've noticed, and something that seems to be increasing in pressure is this constant need to have the best kit, and the most expensive lenses, and the most expensive, even SD cards and all that sort of stuff. Like, at the end of the day, if the gear that you've got works for the workflow and the processes that you have within your business or whatever application you are putting your video skill towards, then you don't need to upgrade your kit. And that is everything that I wanted to say. All right, see ya.